Hello YouTube, how is y'all's day going? Today we have another updated mock draft. It has been a while since I have posted one, so I'm sorry about that. But in this one, we have no trades today. I worked even harder to get the graphics a little bit better for you guys, so I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe button. Also, make sure you're following me on Twitter and TikTok. The link is down below in the description. Let's get into it. So at number 1, we have the Bears, and I'm going to have them taking Jalen Carter. Recently, I've been talking about Will Anderson. I decided to switch it up for a couple of reasons, but Will Anderson is a phenomenal prospect. I think taking him at 1 would be just as good, maybe better than taking Jalen Carter, but Jalen Carter's had a phenomenal season. He's going to be able to produce for the Bears in so many different ways if they decide to take him at number 1, which seems like the consensus right now. He's going to be able to help with the run. He's going to be able to get some pressure. You can move him all over. You can even play this guy at nose tackle. He will do just fine. So I think that flexibility on the D-line would be nice for the Bears and probably a little bit more beneficial, especially for the run game for the Bears, which is something that I think that they're going to be looking for with the recent trade of Roquan Smith. So number 2, I have the Texans taking CJ Stroud. That is correct. I don't have them taking Bryce Young. I had a change of heart recently with kind of the same thing with Jalen Carter. I'm still like 50-50 with Jalen Carter and Will Anderson, but with CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, it's become a clear picture in my head. CJ Stroud is QB1 for me, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One was the main problem that I had with Stroud, and I've said this before, but the main problem I had with Stroud was his throw on the run ability, his running ability, period, just didn't look that great. And you see that a lot in 2021. When he was on the run, he threw a ball, it went into the dirt, and went right in front of the receiver. Just like, why couldn't you hit him in his pads, right? But this year, especially in the UGA game, he was able to, some of his best plays were on the run, and I was like, wow. And he's also 6'2". Bryce Young is 6 foot flat, and if I'm being honest, I think that when it comes to when he gets measured at the combine, I'm going to be honest, I know it's kind of weird, but I think that he will be smaller than that. I think he'll be 5'11 or 5'10. So to me, Stroud has ideal body type. He's definitely got a bigger arm in my opinion. He's just as accurate as Bryce Young, and I like his pocket awareness a lot more. So, Bryce Young's got the scramble ability for sure. He's got that down to a T over Stroud, but Stroud overall seems like the kind of guy that could just be, phenomenal. I totally think that he'll be a top, God, this is a big prediction, but probably top 15 quarterback in the NFL in the next 3 years. I think that he will be. So he hasn't officially declared yet, but I would really have I know that, OSU is trying to bring him back and stuff, but I would have a hard time thinking with how much, how well his draft stock is doing, not going in it. So I have CJ Stroud going to the Texans at 2. Number 3, I have Will Anderson going to the Cardinals. Whatever one isn't taken at 1, I think will be taken at 3. It's pretty obvious. So Will Anderson goes to the Cardinals because they need edge help desperately. J.J. Watt is gone. Guys like Zach Allen is a free agent. He did pretty well for them this past season. I think that they should re-sign. They got guys like Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons that they can kind of move around, but they need that guy to come in after losing Chandler Jones and now J.J. Watt. And then again, if they choose to not bring back Zach Allen, like this defense is looking bare, especially with a head coach change. There's been some rumblings. Dan Quinn recently decided to stay with Dallas, but there's been some rumblings. Maybe they'll just do Vance Joseph, Sean Payton. But anyways, the defense will be a focal point, and Will Anderson is an obvious pick here. So number 4, I have the Colts taking Bryce Young. So if CJ Stroud fell to the spot, the Colts would be thrilled. I think if Bryce Young falls down to the spot, they would be thrilled, giving no trades. So yeah, it's the Colts need to get younger at QB. I think that Matt Ryan could have gotten the job done if the O-line was a little bit better. And, he's not playing the best, but, my point is that getting younger, getting a guy that is able to get out of the pocket when it does collapse is going to be very valuable to a team like this. The size will be a worry, but they even got weapons. They got guys like Jelani Woods, Michael Pittman. If they decide to bring Paris Campbell back, he had a pretty solid season. This is a good offense for Bryce Young to be in, especially with such a prominent run game with Jonathan Taylor. So, Bryce Young, easy pick for the Colts. Number 5, I have the Seahawks taking Myles Murphy. This one doesn't need much explaining. If there's one thing that the Seahawks needed more of this year is probably pass rush. And their guys down below are getting much older. There's Puna Ford. There's, who did they get from the Broncos? I'm drawing a blank. Anyways, but they're all getting older, and they could use a bigger guy that they can play in that defense. I think they run a 3-4, so they could use a guy like Myles Murphy to be able to bring in some interior pressure, have guys like Uchenna Nwosu and stuff like that coming off the edge. Myles Murphy is someone that doesn't get moved around a ton, but I think he could play in so many different spots on the D-line. I wouldn't say he could play nose tackle, but you can line him up at left or right, and I think he'll do a phenomenal job. Hand in the dirt, can stand up. He's just brute force strength. Number 6, I have the Lions taking Christian Gonzalez. I think I've had this one before. Not exactly at number 6, but I've had the Lions taking Christian Gonzalez. And, Jeff Okudah did a good job this season, but they need that guy. They need that CB1. And, God, I've been seeing some wild picks recently. He is in this this first-round mock, but Devon Witherspoon has... Devin Witherspoon has gotten a lot of buzz lately, and I've been seeing him getting mocked in the top 10, and there's so many corners that I would take before a guy like Witherspoon. Christian Gonzalez is just got fluid hips. He's great size, athletic. He's just able to keep with his guy, and I think Campbell would love a guy like this on his defense. And I think he'd probably start CB1 right away. He's just phenomenal. So I have a really hard time. I think when draft time comes around, Christian Gonzalez at the latest is the CB2 off the board. Like, he's just... His talent's undeniable, and people are going to start seeing that more and more, but I'm just claiming it now. So, number 7, I have Peter Skoronski. Raiders, I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Raiders need offensive line. It doesn't matter who they take. It'll probably be an upgrade. So, Peter Skoronski is my number 1 tackle in the draft. They need offensive line more than anything. They could use edge rush. They could even use some help in the secondary, but they need offensive line so bad. I thought for a second about Will Levis here, but I've been watching more film on Levis, and I've becoming less and less of a fan, and I think teams eventually are not going to buy the buzz as much. We saw how much quarterbacks dropped last year's draft, so a guy like, Will Levis, I think, is going to slide, and I have him sliding significantly in this draft. So I think they address the number 1 need. And, there's Tom Brady rumors to the Raiders. Who knows? Get their guy with a tackle, try to build up the offensive line better. Number 8, I had this one before. So Jared Verse just recently decided to stay with Florida State. And that was my guy. I hated hearing that. That was my guy. So I would have 100% had Jared Verse here at 8. He's such a phenomenal player, but he decided to stay another year in college. So, I had this one, I think, last mock draft, and I'm going to stick with it again. I have my Atlanta Falcons taking Isaiah Foskey. He's a Swiss Army knife. He really kind of reminds me, not to the T, but just in the way that he can play so many different positions. A Micah Parsons. He can rush off the edge. He could probably play interior. He can play middle linebacker, outside linebacker, whatever you need. He can probably fit in any scheme as well. But I definitely prefer him in a 3-4. So I think pairing Foskey with, a guy like Arnold Ebiketie, we have a opening at our defensive coordinator spot. And I would love it if we could get Vic Fangio, and I know a guy like Fangio would just be able to utilize Foskey to an elite level. So that one's pretty easy. So I've been watching a lot of film on Anthony Richardson. And I know I'm going to get ripped for Anthony Richardson before Will Levis, but you know what? To those people, screw you. Not literally. I hope you have a great day. But Anthony Richardson to the Carolina Panthers. There's a couple reasons why I did this, but one, his frame is just amazing. I think he's 6'4". So people talk about Will Levis, who's 6'3", and they talk about, oh, he's the ideal, QB body type and stuff like that. Like, Anthony Richardson's 6'4". He's got a great arm. He's able to make crazy athletic plays, great throw on the run, solid in play action. I mean, there are some inconsistencies with his passing, but man, he throws lasers across the field. And I mean, especially with what the Panthers, had in the past, guys like Cam Newton and stuff like that, guys with good scrambling ability, like this just seems like kind of like their guy. And I think that this would be perfect to take him. Like I said, I've watched a lot more film on him recently, and I've been like, why isn't this guy getting more buzz? To me, he's solidified as a number one or a round one pick for me now. I was very impressed. And from what I've seen from Will Levis, all of his, they talk about, the decision making, like they can work on that and stuff like that. It's like Anthony Richardson has some problems with decision making, but is not as bad as Will Levis, in my opinion. And this seems like a guy that you really just have to help develop like his pocket passing. But everything else, he's got all the skills, he's got all the traits. He's a phenomenal runner, like athletic runner. So yeah, I have the Carolina Panthers taking him. Maybe they can sit him behind Darnold or something like that and help him, develop his passing. But yeah, so I thought that was actually a very solid pick. I think that we'll start to see Anthony Richardson go up more boards. 10, I have the Eagles taking Cam Smith. So Cam Smith, I've talked about this before. Cam Smith and Joey Porter Jr. are tied for me for my CB2. The reason why I decided to take Cam Smith here, usually I go edge rusher for the Eagles, but the reason why I decided to take Cam Smith is because they got guys that are getting older. James Bradbury is going to be a free agent. Darius Slay, I think, is 32, 33, something like that. This guy's so physical, like almost to a fault. I think that they could use a guy like that. They got Avonte Maddox as kind of, a slot corner slash CB3, and getting a guy like Cam Smith, like if Bradbury goes, which he probably will, Cam Smith and Darius Slay. Darius Slay is kind of like that. He's big play Slay. Like he makes plays all around. Cam Smith's going to be like your lockdown guy. And I love seeing cornerback duos where one's a playmaker and one's a lockdown. I just think that it works out perfectly. So I had Cam Smith going to the Eagles. I thought that would be a great pick for them. And he, like I said, he's just very physical. I think it's something that they could use on that defense. 11, I have the Tennessee Titans. I thought about O-line. I really thought about it. And I was thinking about putting Paris Johnson because they could use help. Paris Johnson's very, versatile. But I decided to take Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison is, God, I've been so high. This is what's crazy about the draft, right? You watch film and then you make your decisions. And this is what's hard about mock drafts too, is trying to decide where these guys are going to go, right? And what's your, number one guy, your number two guy, your number three, whatever. But Jordan Addison is almost, I want to say he's tied for number one for me, which I'm such a Quentin Johnston believer. So for me to say that, it kind of hurts. But either way, I think for the Titans specifically, I think Jordan Addison is a better fit than Johnston. Treylon Burks, they got that thing going there. Jordan Addison, he's crazy, man. He's super athletic, super fast. Like I said, reminds me of Tyler Lockett. He's going to be great for a Tennessee Titans offense like that. So I really like Jordan Addison for them. Number 12 to the Texans, we have Tyree Wilson going there. I decided, usually I mock a wide receiver, but I've been thinking more recently, this receiver class, it gets a lot more credit than what it should. I'm starting to realize that. Like, there's some great talent, but, like, nothing compared to last year or the year before or anything like that. Like, these, I feel like most, especially, like, the later round guys that I've been watching, I'm like, man, last year that would have been, like, a 4th or a 5th round pick. So, yeah, I have I have the Texans taking something else and taking Tyree Wilson, who's just a mammoth. I mean, he's just a beast. Him and Miles Murphy are similar in some ways, definitely with like the brute force. Tyree Wilson has just got raw strength. He's able to push back the defender to a ridiculous level. He's got something that I liked about him too a little bit more than Murphy was that he's got a good mix of pass rush moves compared to Murphy, in my opinion. He was able to make some more athletic. Sometimes you see him kind of push back the tackle and then kind of like jump through the block, knock his hands down, and then be able to go sack the quarterback. I really like seeing that from him. So either way, the Texans need that help desperately when it comes to any sort of pass rush. So yeah, I had them taking Tyree Wilson at 12. I think that'd be a great pick for them. It's definitely something different that I haven't seen in a lot of mock drafts. 13, the Jets, we have Broderick Jones. It's pretty obvious, that they get injured at the tackle spot pretty often. Their guys are getting older. They just need a guy like that, a pure pass protector. Who knows what happens with QB there. I thought about Will Levis here too. And I was very close to, pulling the trigger on that, but I just have a feeling that he's going to start falling, and I'm not going to mock something that I don't believe. So I had them taking tackle instead. I also thought about Brian Branch, who I've mocked there before, but I don't know. Something just told me to go O-line this time, so I'll have them taking Broderick Jones at 13. 14, I have the Patriots taking Quentin Johnston. To me, Quentin Johnston is probably wide receiver 1 for me. And he's wide receiver 1, and he is wide receiver 1. Like, for me, I have a hard time seeing Quentin Johnston as a wide receiver 2. Like, he's going to be that guy, and the Patriots need that guy. Like, Devontae Parker's good. Nelson Aguilar's solid in some cases, Jacoby Myers did really well for them. He's a free agent, though. I think they'll probably let him go if I had to guess. But Quentin Johnston is going to be like that guy. Like, it'll be Johnston and Parker, like wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. And, Mac Jones could definitely use a guy like this. I thought about offensive line too. They could definitely need that, but they've just needed wide receiver for so long, so I decided to give them Quentin Johnston. Number 15, Paris Johnson going to the Packers. Paris Johnson is, like I said it probably 2 minutes ago or something. He's very versatile. Like, you can play him at tackle or guard. He's physical. He's got great footwork. And the Packers could probably, they need a right tackle at the moment, but they could even use, the interior offensive line isn't bad at all, but I think Paris Johnson would probably be an upgrade over some guys like John Runyon and stuff like that. So, Paris Johnson would be a good pick for the Packers. I thought about receiver, obviously. That's like the obvious pick for them. I thought about edge rush. With what's gone on the board, I didn't see much of what I would see them taking at 15, especially off of need. So I decided to mock them offensive linemen. If it sounds like Aaron Rodgers is going to get traded, or retire, and if that's the case, then I think that they probably need to make the offensive line even better for a guy like Jordan Love. So 16, I have the Commanders taking Trenton Simpson. I don't think I've ever mocked this one before to the Commanders. I don't think I've ever mocked Simpson to the Commanders, but something that I didn't really realize, because the Commanders linebacking unit plays actually pretty good. Jamin Davis has started to come into his own. He had a pretty solid year, but David Mayo, Cole Holcomb, those are very solid guys. They do their thing, but there's plenty to upgrade off of that. Trenton Simpson is a ridiculously athletic linebacker. He's definitely the best linebacker in this class. I've been seeing some Drew Sanders from Arkansas get mocked in round 1, but Trenton Simpson's he's an athletic beast. He's going to be able to stop the run. He's good in pass coverage. He's fast, flies to the tackle. And that's something that I think the Commanders can need, match him up with Jamin Davis, get a young linebacking core. And I think that defense starts heading the right way. I definitely thought about corner. St. Juste to me would be better as a slot corner, not a cornerback 2. Kendall Fuller's doing his thing, obviously. So I thought about Joey Porter Jr., but I was like, man, they could use a linebacker, and I've mocked to the Commanders' corner several times, so I decided to take Trenton Simpson. It's a very real possibility at this point. Maybe they wanted a guy like Cam Smith or something. They wanted that physicality. They don't have it. Like I said before, Joey Porter Jr. I love him. JPJ is amazing, but he's definitely an upside prospect. Like he makes great plays and stuff like that, but you're drafting him hoping that he improves, because he showed lots of promise, but he hasn't shown like Christian Gonzalez, if I'm going to compare it like that. So yeah, I decided to go Trenton Simpson for the Commanders. But then we have Joey Porter Jr. going right after that to the Steelers. I've mocked this one before, and I think this would be a great pick for the Steelers. I've talked about it before with Joe Hayden. These guys have very similar builds. The main thing that's, attractive about a guy like Porter is, his 6'2", his lanky arms. This guy extends to make the play. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, he gets kind of shaken off of a route, and then he just flies when he sees the ball come and just reaches out and smacks it down with his hand or jumps up in the air. Like, he's able to, that length is very ideal for a corner, and the Steelers been needing that. Cameron Sutton actually did pretty good for them, but Levi Wallace actually had a pretty solid year too, but those guys are getting older. I know one or both is a free agent this year. So yeah, and they need to get younger at that position. They've been relying on veterans for a while. So yeah, I have Joey Porter Jr. going 17 to the Steelers. 18. This one, I don't think. No, I have not. I have not mocked Uzama in the first round, but I recently watched some film on him, and I thought he was a first round prospect. I really did. He's super athletic. Like, you could argue. Okay, I would say probably out of all the edge rushers, he's probably number 2 just off of straight athleticism. I'd probably put Foskey before him, but even over a guy like Will Anderson. I know I'm gonna get ripped for that, but that's okay. But he's crazy strong, just like instant pressure sometimes. Like, he's from Kansas State. Like, he just like hits the tackle and finds a way. Like, he's so like fast and aggressive, and he'll just hit him, and then he's like at the quarterback. Like, it was amazing sometimes how I saw just like how quickly he got after him. So, putting him with, Aiden Hutchinson, having a good pass rush duo, having Christian Gonzalez. I've been mocking almost every single. I thought about Will Levis here too, actually, but I decided not to. I've been mocking almost every single time for the Lions doubling down on defense, because I think that's the main thing that's like holding them back. Their offense was firing on all cylinders this year, and I really wanted them to make the playoffs. So 19, Will Levis to the Buccaneers. There's a huge belief around the league that Tom Brady's not coming back. Kyle Trask could be something. I'm not going to say he's not going to be anything, but who knows? Maybe this is something where they take Will Levis and they sit him behind Kyle Trask. But this is definitely a time for the Buccaneers where they can take a shot like this. Like, they're in a rebuild mode. If they can find that guy, they got talented weapons all around to see if he can be that guy. Like, take Will Levis. He might be able to do something for you. Like I said, he's got the main thing that you like about him is he's got the main traits that you want in a quarterback. He's tall. He's able to read the field well. His decision making just isn't the best. Sometimes he just fires passes that you're like, what are you doing? And he's kind of a underrated has an underrated scrambling ability as well. So, like I said, I think this is a perfect time for the Buccaneers to be able to take a shot like this. And I do think Will Levis is going to fall this far when the draft comes around, and I probably will be mocking him probably 14 and on, or 13. I think the Jets might have a shot at taking Will Levis, but because I think he's going to be farther. He's getting mocked top 10 almost every single mock draft I look at, and I disagree. So, 20. This is one that confuses me. Eli Ricks is that I don't understand how he's not getting more first round buzz. I've been seeing so many other people get first round buzz, like corners, that I'm like, these guys are third round picks. In my opinion, look, that's the thing, is that's what's amazing about the draft, right? Everyone's going to have their own opinions. My opinion is like guys like, Tyreek Stevenson is like, what did I even have for him? I think I had like a late second to early third. And I've been seeing him go in the first, and I'm like, you're going to mock that, but not Eli Ricks. Like, Eli Ricks, he's the film that I watched him, he just made some great plays. He's just a very solid at press. He reads the field great. Like, he's able to decide what the QB's doing before he even does it. And that's something that, like, I've talked about with Brian Branch. So maybe it's just an Alabama thing, but he really is so underrated. And I have him as a first round pick. And I'm not even going to say that I think that he will be taken there, but I think he's a first round pick. So I have the Seahawks taking Eli Ricks because Kobe Bryant played fine. Tariq Woolen's good, but Eli Ricks is that guy that I think that is going to, like I said, I like a playmaker and someone that's locked down. I wouldn't say Eli Ricks is locked down because he can definitely be a playmaker too, but I would say he's more locked down than a guy like Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen's just able to make the play. Eli Ricks is somebody that's going to make sure that in my opinion, more so than a playmaker, is going to be able to make sure that the quarterback isn't throwing to that side of the field. Brian Branch, 21 to the Chargers. Brian Branch could go way earlier than this. But main reason why I did this was because I know Nasir Adderley is going to be a free agent. Some people mock Branch as like a DB in the sense of like a corner as well. And yeah, he could be a slot corner. Like if you want to play him like a Mike Hilton, then yeah, like a nickel, that you definitely can play him as that. But like I see, like just with what he was able to do against like the run and reading the plays and stuff like that, like I just see him so much more as a safety. Pair Branch with Derwin James. I mean, Branch could use a little bit of help in pass coverage. He's honestly really solid, but he could use a little bit of help in pass coverage. But like, God, he's a top 20 definitively prospect for me. And he will be one of, like, I'm going to come out with a My Guys video. I've never done that before, but I've seen so many YouTubers and TikTokers do that, and I can't wait to make that. But he's definitely going to be one of my guys. I love Branch. So that one's different. I haven't mocked him to the Chargers before, but, I like that. So number 22, the Baltimore Ravens. I'm trying to come around to Jackson Smith-Njigba. I'm trying to. I see him as a late first. This technically is a late first. I usually when I think late first, though, I'm like 25 and up. I know that's kind of weird, but, late first, Jackson Smith-Njigba to the Ravens. Main reason why is because guys like Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay. Devin Duvernay, I think, played like 40% of his snaps from the slot, so he played a decent bit from there, but, they're mostly outside receivers. Jackson Smith-Njigba is solely slot, and, it seems like they're trying to work out with Lamar. If they do get him back, I think getting a really crazy athletic, good route runner like Smith-Njigba, people make comparisons to, he's going to be like a Cooper Kupp or whatever, just plays from the slot, but is super, super elite at it, right? I think that they could use something like that for sure. They need wide receivers, period. I thought about going Butte, from LSU, but I was like, you know what, I'll do JSN. So I decided to go with that because I think it would just be another weapon for them to use that they need on that offense so desperately. It bites them in the, every single year in the playoffs they'll do decent, and then the receiving game just always bites the dust. So 23, this is the first time I've ever had Witherspoon in a first round mock draft, and since I saw that he was getting so much buzz, I decided to watch. I had watched, I think, like literally 5 minutes on him, and I wasn't overly impressed, but I decided to watch more, and he's just very, very aggressive, solid tackler, pretty good about getting off the block, he's just got good, like, what's the word? Like, good attributes in the sense of, like, just, like, trying. Like, he just tries hard every single play. He's pretty sticky coverage. He's grabby, that can be to a fault, but overall, just really solid being able to stay with the receiver. So, and the Vikings need something like that. They drafted Andrew Booth, who got injured. They have Patrick Peterson and stuff like that, but this is somebody, they need that guy that's able to stick with a receiver well. They need that guy that's able to be more locked down, and he's probably one of the more locked down corners in this class. So yeah, I think that would be a great pick for the Vikings, because like I said, Andrew Booth is more of a he's more of a playmaker. So I think this would be a great pick. 24, I have the Jags taking O'Cyrus Torrence. I think Torrance could go way higher than this. I feel like I say that every single mock, but it's just it's hard to take a interior offensive lineman super high, in my opinion. Torrance is great. I think he could be taken as high as like the 12th pick or something like that. It just depends where teams value that, what they need. But I decided, because the Jags defense, I really thought about going edge rusher here. I really did. But the Jags defense did pretty good in the playoffs. Was able to get some key stops and stuff like that. They definitely could use some upgrades in the edge rushing department, but it's not the worst. However, their offensive line, their interior offensive line, guys like Tyler Shatley and stuff like that, like, there's much to be improved upon. So I thought O'Cyrus Torrence would be a good, filler in there to just kind of help get Trevor Lawrence some more time, help with the run game with ETN, stuff like that. So Torrence is definitely the best interior offensive lineman of this class, and it would be something that I think that the Jags need a lot more than people realize. So yeah, I had them taking O'Cyrus Torrence at 24. 25, the Giants, the main thing that the Giants need, it's corner and it's wide receiver. And wide receiver is much more boring, in my opinion. So I have them taking Butte. Butte is an upside guy. He's a playmaker. He's fast. You're mostly relying, kind of like what happened with Derek Stingley, ironically, you're mostly relying on the year before tape. And he was very solid. He's somebody that has wide receiver 1 upside. And the Giants just need any help that they can at wide receiver. This is the next best one on the board. In my opinion, I may even say that you could, like, I already said, I thought about him for the Ravens, which I had them taking, Jackson Smith-Njigba. So, Butte's, it sounds like they're going to re-sign Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. I know there's been some rumblings of a conversation with Saquon where they offered him a pretty damn good contract, and he declined. So, who knows what happens with that, but either way, they need playmakers on the offense, and I think Butte can do that. So, 26, I have the Cowboys taking Michael Mayer. I think Michael Mayer could go earlier than this, but I honestly am starting to, tight ends, it's hard because they're becoming more prominent in today's game, but, it's hard, to me, it's kind of hard to take that position in the draft. Dalton Schultz is a free agent. I think that they'll let him go. I think they tagged him last year. I'm almost positive about that. I think they tagged him last year. So I think that they'll let him go, and they'll probably use the tag on Pollard. But Mayer might be an upgrade. Based off the first round buzz, I would say that he probably is. Actually, maybe, Schultz had a pretty damn good season, and he showed up in the playoffs too. But Mayer is, in my opinion, probably a better blocker. So, they use Ezekiel Elliott. Like I said, I think that they're going to use the tag on Pollard. So that'll be a good weapon for them. And, Dak can use all the help that he can get. He needs everybody to get open. He didn't have the best showing. So getting a guy that's able to do what probably Schultz did is going to be huge. And if he can help in the, pass blocking, run blocking game department as well, that's great. So 27, I have the Bills taking Bijan Robinson. I think I've done this one before, and I'm going to stick with it. he's the best running back in this draft class. He's gotten so much buzz. There's not much else to say that I haven't said before. Devin Singletary's a free agent. They bring in a guy like this, who knows? Like people keep on saying he's the next Saquon Barkley, So if he's Saquon, imagining Saquon on the Bills offense is really dangerous in my opinion. So, it's an obvious pick in my opinion. And then this is the first one that I've had of Lucas Van Ness, 28 to the Broncos. This is one that I would not be shocked if I start mocking him in like the top 15 soon. Recently, Daniel Jeremiah came out with his first mock draft, and he had Lucas Van Ness going 8 to my Falcons. And when I saw that, I was like, I got to look at this guy some more. So I did, and he's very versatile. You can move him all up and down the D-line. You can play him at nose tackle. You can play him left or right end. You could probably play him at outside linebacker, even though I think he's probably not fast enough for that. I mean, he's quick, but he's not he's not a linebacker. He's not going to be able to drop back in coverage as good as a guy like Ebiketie or something like that. Lucas Van Ness, he's very strong. He kind of reminds me of a J.J. Watt a little bit. He uses his arms very well. Like he's able to create, like even if he isn't getting to the quarterback, like he's able to create separation before getting back to the block. Like he's able to throw the guy left and then go. And he's like he's able to penetrate. That's the way to put it. He's able to penetrate very well by using his hands. So Lucas Van Ness is getting some round one buzz, and I'm starting to become more of a believer in him. And like I said, I think he could be going up in the future mock drafts. I'm gonna watch some more film on him. I was pretty impressed. 29, the Bengals. I don't know if I've had the Bengals taking DB before. I don't remember. Either way, they need to. Somebody needs to make sure Eli Apple never plays in the league again. No, I'm just kidding. Sort of. But Clark Phillips is a playmaking corner in my opinion. Either way, I think he'd probably, and I'm not saying this is an insult or something like that. Eli Apple isn't a terrible corner, but they need some upgrades at that position, and Eli Apple's definitely something that can be upgraded upon. So Clark Phillips from Utah, he's, in my opinion, the next best corner on the board. And, the Bengals could need help in that secondary. So I like that pick. And I think it's very good value as well at 29. So 30, I've had him falling, I think last one or the one before, but I have Brossy falling again. I watched, so I'll be honest, I watched a decent amount on Brossy, and I saw him going so much early in the first round that I was like, okay, yeah, like this guy's got some big potential. Like he can stop in the run game. He gets some good interior pressure and stuff like that. But the more I've watched him, the more I'm like, man, he seems like a later round first. Like I think he for sure still is a first. He's almost like who was it last year for the Kansas City Chiefs that I wasn't a huge fan of? George Karlaftis. Brian Brossy reminds me of George Karlaftis, like where this, like his gameplay isn't overly impressive, but he's good enough to warrant that pick. That's kind of how I feel about Brossy, is he's a George Karlaftis. So yeah, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that's phenomenal value for them. Derek Nady and what was the other guy? Oh, God, they've used him a good bit this season. It makes me mad I can't remember. But both two nose tackles that they're using, Derek Nady and the other guy, again, I can't remember his name. They are free agents. So why not get younger at the position? I think it would be good for them to pick up a guy like Brossy. And then 31, the Eagles. I have them taking Anton Harrison, who's also been getting some first-round buzz, and I believe he is a first-round pick. He's honestly very, very strong for a tackle. There are some inconsistencies in his game, but overall, I really like him. I think he's one of the pure pass protector guys, kind of like a Broderick Jones in this class, where he knows how to make sure that the edge doesn't get around. So I liked Anton Harrison. Andre Dillard is a free agent, and Jordan Mailata he's great. Lane Johnson is great. Lane Johnson's getting older, and who knows? Maybe Harrison outplays Jordan. But either way, I really liked that pick, especially for value. For the Eagles, and they're just such a good team, man. You can mock edge. I mocked them. Who did I mock them? I mocked them a corner, Cam Smith. That's right. But yeah, I think that you could definitely go edge rusher. I usually do that, but with how the board fell, I thought, that tackle was probably the best because I didn't see too much. I thought about Nolan Smith. I've done that before. I'm not completely sold on Nolan Smith. I think he could be a first-round pick, but I'm not completely sold. Again, Daniel Jeremiah had him going really high in this past draft. I want to say it was to the Packers. It was. What did the Packers pick at? 14? 15. Yeah, he had him going 15. So that was kind of wild to me. As far as, Nolan Smith goes, but who knows, like I said, everyone's got their own opinion. So that is going to wrap it up for this video. That's going to be it. So like I said, I'd really appreciate it if you guys hit the like and subscribe button. I think we're sitting at 28 subscribers or something like that. So if you guys would hit that, I would really appreciate it. It would really help me out. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay safe and God bless.